morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're listening to us from. This is Arronax Media podcast. And today we have the pleasure of having on studio Mr. Francis Kathambana.
Hi guys, how are you?
Welcome, Francis. Welcome.
Yes.
Can I call you Frau?
Francis.
Francis. Okay. Welcome, Francis, to our podcast today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Generally, let's just have a chat about all things psychology. So maybe start by telling us about yourself. Who's Francis?
Wow, tough question, but interesting one. So, Francis Kathambana. I like describing myself as a man, a father, a brother, husband. But I think for me, the best description in terms of my profession is that I consider myself as a healer. Over the last about 25 years that I've been in psychology, I think the one thing that I have distilled in my head that I do is bring healing, all sorts of healing, physical, but sometimes, spiritual, but mostly psychological. Yes.
Good. Awesome. So today let's really talk about I know you've mentioned healing, and I want us to get to that later. Physical healing, psychological, and spiritual as well. But let's talk about psychology. You know, you are a psychologist. So why psychology?
Why psychology?
Yeah.
That's a long story. But all long stories can be told shortly. So back in school, I went to school in Russia, and I was studying. I wanted to study international relations. Yeah, but I needed to do a degree first and foremost. So initially, I wanted to do law, and then international relationships and law, they weren't going too well. Yeah. So I started studying languages. I was studying Roman philology. That's the study of the Roman languages. That is Italian, Spanish, Portuguese. Yeah. And I was studying them in Russian. So at about that time, I got introduced to Psychology 101, which was an elective. And I really, really liked it. We had a rapport with my teacher and really liked it. And then something tragic happened to my life. I lost a friend. He was actually murdered when he was in Russia. And I got to go and experience counseling, grief counseling, all the trauma around his murder, all the things I was dealing with. He was actually my roommate and at that particular time, my best friend. So as I was going through the sessions, the teacher decided, my professor decided to ask me, why don't you take this a bit further? Yeah. And just study. I mean, as it will help you go through whatever it is that you're going through. And she looked at me and told me, I think you'd be a good therapist. Well, I laughed at that, but I decided, why not? So I enrolled in a post-diploma, post-degree diploma in psychology, which ended up being a master's in clinical psychology.
Excellent.
Yes.
So you ended up getting your post-diploma, your degree in clinical psychology.
Yes.
And maybe then we can then, talk about then the journey that you've taken to be, from yourself looking for healing to the point where you become somebody who offers healing to somebody else. So what has that been like? And have you met your teacher's desire for being that person?
So yes, it's been an interesting journey. Yeah. First of all, the training in Russia was rigorous and really made me look inside myself and start appreciating different aspects of me. But I think the real learning started when you finish school and you come to the country. I came back about 4 months before the August 7th bomb blast in Nairobi.
The big one.
The big one.
Yeah.
I was among the first people to respond, first person who actually manned a telephone the telephone where people could call and ask questions around trauma. I was among the first people to offer training to other counselors on how to debrief. And then, from there, working full time, actually, really working full time as a psychologist. After that period, I joined Kenyatta National Hospital, where I was a clinical psychologist. Worked there for 6 months. Left. I did a lot of consultancies within the field of HIV. Very interesting studies around how to work with couples who are discordant, how to provide the healing that they need to stay together as a couple. And all through all that journey, of course, every so often you have to look into yourself. Yeah. Started working before I got married, yeah, got children, and all that changes you. But I think it's always good to look at, as you go through these different stages, as you're working with different couples, how is that impacting my life?
Correct.
Yeah. I think after Kenyatta, I was working so hard and working with so many people that I experienced my first burnout.
Yeah.
And I actually, the thing about caregivers, we don't actually recognize when we are in need of help. Until somebody says, "Hey, Francis, I think you're drinking a bit too much. You're not handling stress nicely, And you take a break and realize, hey, this is happening.
Yeah.
So I again had to go and look for counseling. Yeah. Have a good introspection of what was happening, and that actually also led to my change in career. So I stopped being a first line provider and I went into management.
Yeah.
But again, life is the way it is. You go into that field and you start managing people and you start pouring your whole heart into it. Yeah. And sooner or later you find yourself at another
burnout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another level. Yeah. But eventually I think I met a guy called Paul Boyle back in 2009. He's an amazing fellow. Yeah. And as he was explaining how people deal with trauma,
Yeah.
it just kind of clicked in my head. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah. Not managing just HIV patients or anything. Yeah. Or discordant couples only. Yeah. He presented his methodology in a way that clicked for me.
Okay.
And from there I've been able to develop my own methodology, my own way of thinking, my own way of handling trauma specifically. And just to take you back slightly, I know you want to ask the questions around healing, but let me tell you, we have been brought up in a world that is painful. Yeah. If you were to look at Kenya, for example, just about 50, 60 years ago, we were under the colonial rule. Yeah. And it was brutal. Yeah. The whole change of our culture just around that time, again, was very painful for us culturally. So all these things translate themselves into pain. And pain is actually transmitted from one generation to another. Yeah. So as a psychologist, we talk about the big T's of the things that happen to people on a daily basis. Yeah, like a rape, or an accident, the big bomb blast. Yeah. But we also talk about the other small T's. Yeah, the things that, because, for example, my dad was a disciplinarian. He knew how to use a whip. Yeah, that's what he knew. But for me as a child, what that translates to is pain. And I carry that pain throughout my life. Yeah. And if I don't check that pain, then I transmit it to my children, who transmit it to their children. Yes. So part of my healing is to work with people around this inherited pain. Yeah. These small T's, the things that stop people from being the best that they can.
Yeah.
The things that lead to the depressions, the increased depression that we are seeing, the attention deficit disorders, the procrastination, the self-sabotage behaviors. And you can't attribute that to one thing directly, but we know as psychologists, and studies have been there, that this thing, they begin in our childhood. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk a bit about, you've touched on a whole number of things, but I want to narrow down to families.
Yes.
And the sort of help that maybe, or the sort of issues that families go through, starting from the actual couple and maybe into their kids, and what do you see out there? What do you help people, family settings? Maybe I'm in a family, I don't know that I am in trauma, or I don't know that, I just know there's something wrong. So when I come to you, what is that? What do you do? What do you do for me?
So again, just to quote your word, what you've just asked is a whole many things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's break down things so that we understand.
Mm-hmm.
So I've said that most of us come from a history where we have inherited some kind of trauma from our parents.
Mm-hmm.
Not because our parents were bad, but that's who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Given that's the place where they live in.
Correct.
Yeah.
The environment.
So the environment, everything.
The situation.
The history.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we inherit some trauma from them,
Mm-hmm.
and that means that at some level, when we are coming to couple,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, to pair up,
Yeah.
we bring our baggage.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now that baggage may be in form of attachment styles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It may be in form of phobias and fears.
Mm-hmm.
It may be in form of stereotype and the way of thinking,
Mm-hmm.
or the way of not thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And all these things, come now are brought together into the marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that, for example, we see, allow me to talk about the functioning couple.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Two people, high achievers. Yeah. They're driven to become the very best that they can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this young man, about 30s, he's working in nice, allow me to say, financial institutions. So he's a go-getter. He's out there crushing it every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Gets to meet this lady again, who is also probably within the fields. Yeah. Also crushing it every single day. Yeah. So here, two people, they are focused on a future. But what's driving this? Yeah. In majority of the times, you find that it is a fear of poverty. Yeah. Or the fear, or they're driven by it to be better than their parents, you know, or they want to impress the world, or whatever it is. These are some of the small baggages that now we inherit from our parents. Now, when we come into the house, what happens? Yeah. All of a sudden, there's the thinking that one of us has to slow down. Yeah. And because we live in Africa, they tend to think that the lady is the one who needs to slow down. Yeah. But she's not ready. She also wants to impress her family. She also wants to make it big. She also does not want to be poor, or, all those things that drive us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what does she? How she's driven. Yeah. So if you have two people with big egos, yeah, who seem to start competing in the house against each other, of course tensions are going to arise. Yeah. Disagreements are going to be there. Then all of a sudden you start using the word, you don't respect me anymore. Yeah. And then you start hearing the other person, oh, you don't listen to me. Yeah. And that's a whole menu for all manner of problems.
Okay.
So let's take it just a bit further. The same couple. All right. So the same couple decides to get actually married. They work through their small things and say, let's power through this. So they get married. Yeah. The young guy hasn't reduced his crushing it. He's still outside there. He's still trying to make as much money as possible. He wants to climb the corporate ladder as much as possible. So now that he has a family, he feels the need to even put in more effort. Yeah. So when the babies come, where is he? Yeah. He's out playing golf. He's out making money. He's out, networking.
Correct.
because that's what it's required. That is what is required.
Yeah.
Yeah. And therefore, he's not available for the baby
Mhm.
when the baby is in infancy.
Mhm.
Yeah. What about the mother? The mother goes back to work. She needs to put in the time that is required.
Mhm.
Yeah. She's dealing with men who are like the husband.
Mhm.
She's trying to compete in the same world.
Mhm.
Yeah. So when she comes home, how is she? Tired. Yeah. Beat.
Mhm.
And to tell you the truth, she doesn't have the time for the baby either.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the baby is left with a foreigner. Yeah.
Mhm.
And what does a baby perceive? Yeah. Currently, Richard tells us babies tend to be a bit narcissistic.
Mhm.
If they don't get the attention that they deserve from the parents, they think there's something wrong with them.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if the baby is being left alone,
Mhm.
it begins to feel that there's something wrong with it. And please note,
Yeah.
I use the word think,
Mhm.
but it's not that logical,
Mm.
but it's a feeling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the baby grows up with feelings of inadequacy.
Mhm.
Yeah. So 20 years down the line, what kind of child is that?
Mhm.
Yeah. A person who does not feel they deserve attention,
Mhm.
that they are worthy. Yeah. Not because they are not loved,
Yeah.
but because the parents were busy working.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Mhm.
you get how it is.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that is, yeah.
Yeah.
So again, let's just take it just a bit further with the
Mhm.
same couple.
Okay.
Okay. So they have had their first baby.
Mhm.
All right. So now it's about building the home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there are two big eagles in that
Mhm.
house.
Mhm.
Yeah. They have very, very different views on things like how do we spend time together?
Yeah.
How do we invest our money?
Mhm.
Yeah. What's our vision for our future?
Mhm.
Yeah. So again, yeah, you find that they don't actually talk.
Mhm.
The only time you find them talking is when there's a bill to be paid,
Mhm.
when there's a visit that they need to visit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They're still two individuals
Mhm.
living together
Mhm.
for the sake of either the kids or the sake of maintaining the image of
Correct.
wanting to be married.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that's it. Yeah. So you find that by the time the children are about 12 years old
Mhm.
and they're independent,
Mhm.
then the wife has a life outside the home
Mhm.
and the man has a life outside the home. And when they're together, it's just tension.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, there is no that unity that's supposed to be there.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
Develop again when they get into their 50s. Yeah. Now the man has no longer the energy to work as much as possible.
Mhm.
He wants to stay at home. The way we are created, at that particular point, there is now a burst of energy that ladies tend to get, and
Mhm.
all of a sudden, life becomes about um, supporting the world or doing
Yeah.
things to outside.
Mhm.
After all, they have
Mhm.
brought up the children.
Mhm.
What is left now is to make an impact.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And therefore, you find the lady spends more time outside and the man spends more time inside.
Mhm.
And again, there is no meeting
Mhm.
of the two people.
Mhm.
Yeah. So at all these points, if when people when couples come to me, we
Mhm.
are able to address what are their issues. Yeah. Are they having conflicts because of the baggage that they're carrying?
Mhm.
Yeah. Are they having conflict because of their current situation as they change?
Yeah.
For example, getting married is both psychological and physical thing. It's just that not when we agree to live together are we married. We
Yeah.
have to change our minds to, yeah, and that also is a leap of sorts. um are they dealing with kids? Are they dealing with stress? One of the biggest thing that I help couples do
Mhm.
is to envision a future together.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And ask them to design the kind of marriage that they want.
And this can happen irrespective of you've been married 5 minutes or 10 years
Or
or
10 or
yeah.
30 years.
Yeah.
Yes. The
Okay.
thing about it is that most of us have this image of marriage,
Mhm.
and we're not willing to put in the time
Mhm.
to 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 get the marriage we actually want.
Mhm.
Yeah. So a lot of the things that I do with couples is actually sit down and ask them, you know what? If I was to ask you, what kind of marriage do you want? And then I ask the other spouse, what kind of marriage do you want? And then let's put those visions together and let's work together towards that vision. Yeah. Immediately that happens, the synergy is amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. Once they see that they can actually get, not fight for what they want, they can actually get without a fight, and it actually works. Marriages become magical.
Okay.
Yeah. When the two people start to actually working together as a team, not as competitors, or when they remove the fears around, you know, a lot of us grow up not being able to genuinely ask for what they want. Yeah. Uh, in fact, at some level, it's actually almost taught to us that wanting something is being selfish. Yeah. So you can imagine that I want a happy marriage, but I don't know how to ask it. Yeah. I want a partner who has fun with me, but I don't know how to ask it. In fact, quite a number of couples find it very hard when we ask them, what kind of marriage do you want? Because they haven't thought about it.
Yeah.
But once they think about it, and once they say, this is what I actually want, and the other partner listens, it's so doable. It's so achievable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a lot what I do. Just help people clarify what it is that they want. Yeah. And communicate it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So you'll walk people through, share your vision, and then once you've gotten that out, then you train them how to ask or how to communicate that, or is that the process of?
Actually, that's just the process of the vision, because most of us have a vision, but it's somewhere deep in our head.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first process is actually just crafting the vision,
Yeah.
which involves actually saying what it is that I want. Yeah. I want somebody, for example, for our couple, yeah, they might say, I want somebody who respects me. All right. And I might ask, so what does respect mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they say they listen, they're attentive, they cook for me. Yeah. And therefore the lady gets to hear that's what he wants.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we ask the lady, for example, what do you want? And somebody says, for example, they say somebody who spends time with me, they're able to listen to me, takes me on a date. Yeah. That you can go out on a holiday, So when we take these things together and say, let's put them together, what kind of sentence, what kind of vision we have. So yeah, that's it. That's basically it.
Okay. So if we then look at a couple who believe, as I started off, that there's something wrong.
Okay.
So you're already starting off with the premise that maybe something's so wrong you're not even talking, or maybe you're not even on the same page.
Yes.
Do you then still take them through this particular process? What if they're not even willing to sit down together? I'm just throwing something that's meant to be really hard. Like where then do you start walking the healing journey with this couple that is so in their minds torn apart?
Okay.
Yeah.
So for those ones, we have to address the immediate pain point. What's the immediate pain point? So the fact that they have actually come to see me means that they're willing to talk at some point, at some level.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I normally do is listen to what are their disappointments, what are their pains. Yeah. And clarify that these are the actual pains and the actual disappointments. That for example, not long ago, I had one of those ladies who comes and says that I'm a golf widow. Yeah. Golf widow means that the husband is always playing golf.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's just tired of it. I mean, there were many other things around there, but what is it? What does she feel is the worst part? Yeah. And she was, as we dug into that, it's the feeling that I am not valued. Okay. I am not valued. Okay. So when that comes out, yeah, then the man can actually clarify that I value you. So my question is, if you do value her, how do you communicate that? Yeah. So, okay, then of course he starts saying, oh, she's always screaming at me, or she doesn't, all those other things that men say as a way. I started playing golf to be away from her, kind of stuff. Yeah. So again, once we go down the list, and he says, I don't feel needed in this house. I'm always being criticized. So what does that mean to you? And they say, okay, fine. Even me, I'm not valued. So I ask her, how do you express your value? How do you express that you value him? Yeah. So the first thing is always to talk around the pain points, see what each of these things actually means to the different people. What is the actual pain? Yeah. And then let's now talk about what it is that we want. Once we've defined the problem, yeah, what is it that we want? Yeah. I come from the school of thought that what you look at grows. So if you only see problems, yeah, then they're going to grow.
Yeah.
If you find there are places or solutions to those problems, then those solutions and those opportunities for connection actually grow. So we look at now what is it that we would want to have. Yeah.
Okay.
So is it time together? Let's create time together. Yeah. All right. So in this time together, what are the rules? Yeah. Okay. No criticism. Okay. Fine. No criticism. Yeah. We won't talk about golf. Okay. We won't talk about golf. Something like that. Yeah. So once we have had 2 or 3 of this, then we can sit down and say, okay, what else do we want? Can we see a future 10 years, 20 years down the line? What are we doing? What are we like? Yeah. And then again, walk somebody through that.
Okay. I think that's good to know, because it's nice to hear what the process is, and understand what the process. So I think in this culture that we live in, allow me to say in Africa or in Kenya, people don't think they need counseling, or you'd say maybe women will say to the guy, let's go see a counselor, and the guy will be all macho and say no, the usual. So for anyone listening to this out there, how then do they walk that path?
Actually, again, recently I had a couple, and the lady is actually the one who reached out, and she said one of her problems is that every time she says they want counseling, the husband says counseling is for kids.
Yeah.
So the first thing is that it's important to be able to talk to somebody else about the issues that you're going through. I think part of us being brought up, especially us as men, is that we've been told that we need to man up, for example. Yeah. So whatever we face, we just bottle it in. We don't talk about it. We don't think about it. We just try and push it in as far as possible. And that develops into resentment. Resentment then develops into all manner of other festering opportunities, small little wounds.
Yeah.
The cold shoulder treatment, the small matarau. Yeah. So that one is actually, yeah. So you need to be able to talk.
Yeah.
Right. And coincidentally, a lot of the things that people go through, especially in marriage, are universal. It doesn't matter whether you're Kikuyu or Luya or Luo or Indian or American or Brazilian or Japanese. We all go through the same things.
Okay.
Yeah. Literally. Yeah. So the fact that we think that we are the only ones who can deal with this is already a handicap.
Yeah.
So for a lot of people, I tell them, please just reach out. Reach out. Talk to somebody else.
Yeah.
And it might be a priest. It may be a counselor. Yeah. It may be other men who are slightly older. But the first step is no. Whatever it is that you're going through, no matter how bad you think it is, other guys have gone through it.
Yeah.
It's not unique to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Allow me to say this again. All women are more or less the same, just like all men are the same, essentially. So we go through the same thing. So any person who is listening to me and they have an issue, know that you're not the only one going through this. And it's always important to come and voice it.
Yeah.
All right. So the other thing around counseling that's important is it's important to get your ideas of pain out of your head. Okay. As soon as you're able to voice, yeah. For example, like the example I was giving, I'm not being respected. Yeah. We all interpret that differently as men. Yeah. Maybe I'm not being respected because she never makes my bed in the morning, or she doesn't iron my clothes, or she doesn't say goodbye when I leave for work. Get it out. And then when it's out there, we're able to question, is this the definition of respect? Yeah. Could there be any other ways she could be showing you respect that you're not seeing? Yeah. But as long as it's inside and we just turning it in our heads, it just becomes a problem. But once we put it outside there, then we're able to have a conversation around it and actually interrogate.
Yeah.
Is this the real thing? The other thing about it is that we have what we think and what we feel. Okay. And sometimes the feelings are more stronger than what we think.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we apply logic to some of the things that we do, then we start questioning how come. Yeah. Case in point is procrastination. Yeah. You're supposed to do this. Yeah. But somehow you don't do it.
Yeah.
Immediately you apply logic. And then you say, let me apply logic. Then I say, let me do one step. Then let me do tomorrow's second step. When then you are able to do something. But if you're just wallowing in that feeling of procrastination, 10 years will go by before you've done anything.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So again, with a lot of people in marriage, I say, let's apply logic to the things that you feel are not right in your marriage. And let's actually question them. Yeah. And let's have a conversation. Yeah. And once that again happens, a lot of things get neutralized. They get those myths we have in our head.
Yeah.
They just dissipate.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting to know that cold shoulder, dry spell, it's universal.
It's universal.
Excellent. So as once you meet this couple who then have sought you out for help, assuming they've been holding on to all these things and all these thoughts in their heads that have then started to in one way or another affect the kids. So then what happens in that situation? Do you then split up the therapy for the couples and then the therapy for the children and then therapy as a family, or how does that run?
So if there are things, when we talk about therapy per se, every time we have a couple and they have issues, we always give a chance for each one of them to be able to say what are their situation and how do they think. So yeah, we do separate couples for couple therapy. But this is the magic around therapy. Once things start working out, once the couple starts connecting, yeah, especially around children, that good vibe starts correcting even the small little things that were affecting the kids.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Because once we remove the negativity that was there in the interaction of the couple, yeah, the children start being brought in automatically.
Okay.
Yeah. But when we have older kids, kids who have gone beyond the secondary school, yeah, one of the things I actually find very helpful is for the couple to bring them in and start asking them for feedback. Yeah. So like for me, at one point I actually asked my kids to give us feedback in terms of me as a father and what they think about me. And I also asked them to give me areas that they think that I can improve on. Yeah. And their feedback was actually very, very enriching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And since then we have a meeting, family meeting, where we talk about various aspects. Yeah. And they are able to keep me and my wife in check.
Okay.
So once that happens,
Yeah.
it empowers them in a specific way, and there's a healing that comes out of that positivity. Yeah, that listening each other's. The parents are able to listen to the kids. Kids are seeing their parents listening to each other, and then spending time together.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That is. So, question is, Dr. Francis, what value do we get from therapy, and is it actually worth the money?
Definitely. Um, if I can share, yeah, I have had burnout several times. I've also, at some point, also been diagnosed as being depressed. And whenever I go for therapy, I actually get value. It actually helps me see things in a different way. I'm able to get resources or access resources within myself that I didn't know that I had. And I think that's a value for counseling. We as human beings are very resilient, and we have tremendous potential. Our ability to heal ourselves is tremendous, but we can easily get locked and focused on a problem or a situation, and this potential is hidden from us. Yeah. So when you come to a therapist, somebody who knows what they're talking about,
Yeah.
the first thing is that they give you options, and the more options we get, the more powerful we become, the more able we are to get out of any situation. So yes, it's definitely valuable to talk to a therapist. It's definitely valuable to, even if it's just not just go for therapy,
Yeah.
just actually go for a chat.
Yeah.
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 Yes.
So can people reach out to you?
Yes.
Allow me to stick to this. So, I am in a relationship.
Yes.
My partner may not be willing to. So, can I then reach out to you and say, hey, let's chat. Yeah.
Definitely. Sometimes because of where one is in their life stage, they may not be willing or open to talk to a counselor,
Okay.
especially in a marriage situation. There's this notion that whoever goes to the marriage counselor first is going to tell on the other one.
Yeah. Yes, true.
So sometimes people might be a bit defensive, but again, it's important for the person who is willing to start working through the issues.
Yeah.
And I have seen that as soon as one person changes, the marriage changes. So it doesn't really need that the other partner might be there. But as soon as the other person sees, hey, there's a change in this person,
Yeah.
then they also decide, okay, I would like to get a bit more of that change. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So if it's a couple and one of you feels that the other one is not yet ready, just reach out. Let's have a chat. Let's craft
Yes.
a way forward. How you can change. Yeah. And you change in a couple of ways. The first thing that needs to change in your mind is your mindset. Yeah. Around your partner, around yourself. Yeah. You need to change your communication style. Yeah. Because again, that's critical.
Yeah.
Yeah. But one of the places people don't think about changing is their nervous system. Yeah. At certain level.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is your nervous system reacting to the other person's nervous system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you are already angry with this person, you need to calm down first. Yeah. So you need to be able to teach your nervous system to respond differently. And all these are things that you have to be taught in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. But before we let you go, besides counseling, what else does Francis do? Do you are you an outdoors person? Are you an indoors person? Do you read? Tell us a bit more about the other side.
I love the outdoors. Me and my wife, we hike a lot.
Okay.
We climb mountains together,
Yeah.
which is lovely.
Yeah.
my kids are slowly beginning to enjoy the outdoors. So
Yeah.
we enjoy going camping,
Uh-huh.
and every holiday, whenever we can, we actually go camping.
Yeah.
Different areas.
Mm-hmm.
I love exercising.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We love, doing adventures together.
Okay.
In fact, our family vision statement
Mm-hmm.
is a family. It's a kind family that
Mhm.
enjoys fun and adventure together. So
That's
we
powerful.
actually, yes,
Yeah.
we actually do that deliberately and intentionally.
Excellent,
Yes.
excellent. And I do know you climbed Mount Kenya recently with your son.
Yes.
So in a few words, what was that all about? How was that?
That was amazing.
Mhm.
I think that's one of the most powerful things I've experienced.
Yeah.
With my son.
Yeah.
Climbing Mount Kenya,
Mhm.
going to Point Lenana, watching
Yes.
the sun come out, just the two of us.
Yeah.
So for my son, he had just finished secondary school,
Mhm.
and we wanted to have a transitional experience
Yes.
that now he's actually becoming a man.
Yeah.
So we had agreed earlier
Mhm.
on that it would be Mount Kenya. So
Wow.
for us, that
Yeah.
was it was our way of transitioning him from being
A boy.
being a teenager
Yes. Yes.
in a sense,
Yeah.
to being a man
To
with
being a
an
man.
ID, with a
Yes.
driver's license, and all those are
And a
things that
voter's
pertain-
card.
and a voter's card, very important.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think for him, he
Mhm.
also shares that was one of the things that he will really cherish throughout life.
Excellent. Excellent.
And climbing a mountain is not easy.
Correct.
Yeah, so
yeah.
we're tired.
Mhm.
He gets to see me tired. I
Yeah.
get to see him. We encourage each other.
Mhm.
We walk
Yeah.
through the cold, through the darkness.
Yeah.
All those things.
Yeah.
It was a very powerful moment that we shared, the two of
Yeah.
us, and now I'm looking forward to sharing the same with my daughter, who is also in secondary school. In a
Awesome.
couple of years,
Yeah.
she'll be ready to do the same.
Excellent, excellent. So, would you encourage the dads out there to really
Definitely.
quit golf? Not entirely, but really spend more time with the kids. Huh?
I wouldn't say quit golf.
Mm-hmm.
I would say share the passion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Share the passion with their children.
Okay.
Also, because golf is rather specific,
Yeah.
there are other things that you can also share the passion with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it's not golf, right now I think Kenyans really enjoy the Premier League and international
Yeah.
football.
Yeah.
So share that passion
With
together.
the kids.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So look for those points where you can actually do things passionately.
Okay.
There is an old saying, I think by Pluto, that you can learn more about one person
Mm-hmm.
in 1 hour of play
Mm-hmm.
than in 20 or 30 weeks of discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So play with the kids.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Francis. We will definitely get you here for another episode. This has been so enlightening, so fulfilling. I think you've managed to break down things that we thought were hard concepts into very, shall I say, chewable and palatable concepts. So thank you so much.
Karibu
But before
sana.
we let you go, how do people reach you?
Well, I am on Facebook.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, at Life Mentors.
Uh-huh.
As Life Mentors.
Uh-huh.
You can find me on Twitter,
Uh-huh.
also as Life Mentors.
Mhm.
The best way to reach me is email,
Uh-huh.
fkathambana@gmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah, and my website is
Mhm.
mshauri.co.ke.
Mshauri.
Yes.
Excellent.
Mshauri.co.ke.
Excellent. So mshauri.co.ke,
Yes.
fkathambana at gmail,
Yes.
and at Life Mentors.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much.